I call up Mahesh Bundra.
Speaker. Mr. Speaker, time and again we have warned this government against the dangers of this failed electronic monitoring system. We have warned this government that this system has failed and continues to fail. It has failed 15,500 times and over, and we have always warned this government that New Zealanders have been hurt, New Zealanders have been raped, New Zealanders have been killed by offenders who have breached this electronic monitoring system. There have been several instances, some very sad ones, some very tragic ones, where our citizens have been killed by those offenders who have been on electronic monitoring release conditions, and they have breached those conditions. So I think the government should rise up now and take this challenge and do something about it. But they refuse to. Why they refuse to? Because there is savings in dollar terms in relying heavily on this system. I know for a fact that on an average, between $77,000 and $99,000 per prisoner are spent every year. So what this government is looking at is saving those dollars. It's just about buying an electronic bracelet and sending those dangerous criminals out in the communities and hoping that they'll be all right. People will be all right. It's an electronic system. Oh, nothing will happen. Don't worry about it. You are saving those $77,000 per year. So, Mr. Speaker, public safety is not about dollars. It is about being honest about putting in systems where people can actually feel safe, and New Zealanders don't. We are the only party that has stood against this electronic monitoring system because we know for a fact that it has been breached thousands of times. So, Mr. Speaker, now with this system coming in, there'll be additional 5,400 more offenders who will be monitored by this system, which means there'll be 5,400 more ticking time bombs in our community. We can't afford that, Mr. Speaker. When this government claims that they are all about protecting New Zealanders, they do not back it up with actions. This goes against the government's claims, Mr. Speaker. And also, as I said in the previous speeches, at any given time, Mr. Speaker, there are about 40 to 50 offenders who have breached their electronic monitoring condition, which means they have actually cut their bracelet and they are on the run. 40 to 50 offenders at any given time. So that costs $2,500 per breach. So multiply that with 15,500 breaches, Mr. Speaker, and you get the answer. However, the government thinks that it is still a cheaper option than keeping those people in the prison where the government has to spend $77,000 a year. So this government is all about taking cheaper options and not keeping New Zealanders safe. The law enforcement agencies do not know as the whereabouts of those 40 to 50 offenders. Probably their colleagues do, the offenders' colleagues do, but this government does not. The law enforcement agencies do not know where those people are, and those are ticking time bombs, Mr. Speaker. And we have always warned this government against that. Mr. Speaker, the dangers of relying on this electronic monitoring system is that every time an offender cuts the bracelet or breaches the system by any other method, there is a time bomb in the community, Mr. Speaker. Such time bomb was one Robertson who callously murdered and raped Blessy Godinko. But for this system, this failed system, Blessy would still be living in our communities. Blessy would still be with her family. So, Mr. Speaker, we have actually failed her family. We as lawmakers have failed Blessy Godinko and her family. And we can't afford to have any more Blessy-Gottinkers in our communities, Mr. Speaker. So I'm really, really passionate against this system because I know the dangers, I know the bottom lines, and I know the intention behind this electronic monitoring bill being pursued so vehemently, Mr. Speaker. Also, this government is not very clear about how are they going to manage those 5,400 additional offenders in the community. There's not a murmur about any resources being given to the police. There's not a murmur about any additional resources being given to corrections. There's no mention of any staff ratios being maintained according to what the additional number of offenders in the community are going to be. Nothing at all. So, Mr. Speaker, for the many New Zealanders who have been hurt and who have been raped and killed, we stand up. We put New Zealanders first. This government, unfortunately, does not. Mr. Speaker, this bill is all about saving those $77,000. This bill is all about saying one thing and doing just the opposite. We have always opposed this bill, and we will continue to do so. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.